Kids are broke. Oh, you want the new Pokemon game? Sorry, bub. Since kids are A, broke, and B, kids, they usually have to make do with what they have. Personally, I sunk hundreds of hours into Pokemon Emerald because it was all I had for a couple of years. Kids are a fickle bunch though, and naturally, child me grew bored of playing the same Pokemon game over and over again. I wanted something new. Fortunately, there was this really cool secret place where you could play Pokemon for free. Don't tell Nintendo this, but in the year 2006, I put more hours into Pokemon on my computer than I did on my Game Boy. And it was all thanks to the secret weapon for every broke kid wanting to play Pokemon. Visual Boy Advance. Also Pokemon Crater. For little goblins back in 06, Pokemon Crater might as well have been God's greatest gift to humanity next to cartoons and Pizza Fridays. You're telling me I can play Pokemon online with other people like it's an actual Pokemon MMO? It's been 16 years since then, so I think it's high time to revisit this old friend. Let's see what made Pokemon Crater special back then, and see whether or not that still holds true today. That's what I would say if the game didn't go offline 15 years ago. Pokemon Crater shut down its servers in December of 2007. This means that if we want to revisit the game, we're gonna have to dig through some old videos and screenshots from the era. I don't have any recordings from that time left over, so I hope these people don't mind me using their 15-year-old footage. Since these channels are crusty old, there's no actual way for me to contact them about using their footage, so I'll just pull an AI artist move and assume that everything I see is free use as long as it benefits me. Now then, without further ado, here it is. Ladies and gentlemen, Pokemon Crater!
That's it? That's the
Pokemon Crater.
That was just a bunch of cheap walk cycles!
Welcome to Blobcatcher Online. Our award-winning MMORPG features over 200 lovable creatures to collect, as well as a thriving, friendly community who will welcome you with open arms. Visit iconic locations from the Blobcatcher series, remastered in glorious 84p resolution. We also have a fishing minigame. Enjoy! Pokemon Crater consists of 3 distinct phases: the exploration phase, the battle phase, and the website browsing phase. Exploration consists of roaming the many custom-made maps to find, catch, and battle wild Pokemon. The battle phase consists of being able to fight said wild Pokemon, other players, or with NPC trainers. And finally, you can browse the Pokemon Crater website to do a variety of other activities. This footage may make Crater seem primitive, but you have to keep in mind that the internet was a completely different beast back in 2007. It was the era of Windows XP, epileptic ads, MySpace, unregistered Hypercam 1 and 2. The interwebs were still learning and growing with each passing day, and website design reflected that. Back then, Yahoo looked like someone spilled their newspaper all over the screen, and Craigslist, So looking at Pokemon Crater's website from a 2007 perspective, it was pretty good. Everything worked without a hitch, and it doesn't look that ugly. But we're not here to discuss the semantics of web design, we're here to understand what made Pokemon Crater better than chalky milk back in 06. Yeah, that seems accurate. Okay, so I think I figured out why Pokemon Crater appealed to us so much back in the day. It wasn't just because of its status as a Pokemon game on the computer, because Visual God Advance also existed. It was because Pokemon Crater did several unique things that the official mainline Pokemon games didn't do back then. Some of them, the official Pokemon games have yet to do, period. Crater did a remarkable job of translating the Pokemon experience to an online format. Players moved around the map asynchronously, so you wouldn't see other sprites moving to new spaces unless you reloaded your own session. Yes, the page reloads every time you move. Annoying, but hey, it was 2007, what could you do? You could also challenge and battle other players in real time, or fight a computer-controlled version of your opponent's team. These simple features help give the sense that your journey was running in parallel to other trainers, fulfilling that childhood fantasy that I'm sure all Pokemon fans, myself included, had, playing a true Pokemon MMO. Now let's be clear, Pokemon Crater is no World of Warcraft or RuneScape, but it was an MMO nonetheless, and I think that's where a lot of Pokemon Crater's charm came from. That's probably why nowadays you'll look at footage of the game and scoff like an 18th century noble sipping wine and watching the peasants outside use bread as food, currency, and a pillow. By current standards, Crater is primitive with its constant reloading, but in 2007, it was all we had, and we liked it. Our platinum-selling MMORPG experience features over 200 lovable creatures to collect by finding the blue Goober, the orange Goober, or the witness protection Goober. You can also trade Goobers with other players. What do you want in exchange? What makes something valuable? But if we're talking about Pokemon, then maybe I can provide an answer. I think a Pokemon is valuable because of its scarcity, utility, and the person's own appreciation for it. The rarer a Pokemon is, the more valuable it is. That's why legendary Pokemon have so much worth. Also, the more useful it is, whether in battle or as an armrest, the more valuable it is as well. Finally, a Pokemon can be valuable just because you straight up like them. Accomplish one of these criteria and you have a Pokemon that is valuable to one person but not necessarily to the other. But accomplish all three of these criteria and you'll likely have a Pokemon that is valuable to almost everyone. So how exactly does Pokemon Creator capitalize on this fact in order to get you to keep playing? It's red. Pokemon Creator introduced a whole host of unique variations beyond just shiny Pokemon. Long before Game Freak ever thought up of Megas or Alolan forms or Galarian forms, we had Dark, Metal, 50% Transparency, Zapdos. Pokemon variations not only encourage exploration, but help drive the economy of Pokemon Creator as well. Want to find metallic versions of your favorites? Try searching yourself, or see what the marketplace has in store for you. This feature tied into the social aspects of Pokemon Creator really well, and was just plain awesome for kids. Which 10-year-old wouldn't be pumped to see their beloved Charizard be a vengeful spirit of the undead seeking retribution? It was definitely something Game Freak would never dream of putting in their games. Speaking of which, I think the biggest thing that really made Pokemon Creator special was that, as a whole, it was just something that Game Freak would never dream of doing at the time. We have the whole MMO aspect and tons of new Pokemon variations that we mentioned earlier, but there's also the ability to fight every gym leader, fight anime exclusive trainers, pick from any of the starter Pokemon, being able to obtain every Pokemon without the need for multiple systems or game cartridges or link cables, being able to explore unofficial maps, meeting new people, and the extremely useful fact that this thing was playable on a school computer. It's like it was tailor-made to trivialize the already useless mid-2000s computer classes. You could play Pokemon Creator almost anywhere, and it provided a whole different experience than on your Game Boy. Also keep in mind phone games looked like this back in the day, so it not being playable on mobile was completely fine. Pokemon Creator was special because it was its own distinct thing. Even if it used the Pokemon IP, it managed to spin it in a way that the real games never did, and in some aspects, still haven't done. It wasn't perfect though. The speed stat straight up doesn't exist, so Pokemon attack each other at the same time, which means the possibility of a double win is there. There's also technical limitations of the era hampering the experience, such as the constant page refreshes and limited design possibilities. But hey, the fact that we still remember Pokemon Creator as more than just a novelty speaks volumes as to how much it meant to us back then. Pokemon Creator was, and still is, something special. Now let's look at some modern replacements. That's it! I've had it! This game is doo-doo feces! I'm going to speak to the admin right now and give him my peace of mind. Hello, player number 892351. How can I— Your game is mid as fuck! How could you possibly peddle this shit onto your players with such shamelessness? Pokemon Creator was so good back in the day, it was the prequel to touching yourself. Unfortunately, it's 2023. So how do you quench that Creator-sized thirst for an online Pokemon Battle Arena experience nowadays? Oh, sick. The original Pokemon Creator may be dead, but you can still play its many spiritual successors today, or look for alternative Pokemon MMO options. Here's a couple of them. Pokemon Vortex was launched in 2009, 2 years after Creator went down, and is regarded as the reboot of Pokemon Creator. Its most notable feature is its maps, sprawling custom environments with real-time player movement, and Pokemon counters that are smoother than butter. Don't like what you found? Just walk around until you encounter something else. Other than that, Pokemon Vortex is essentially just Creator with a modern coat of paint, and that's pretty good. Well worth checking out. If you straight up just want Pokemon Creator from 2007 dropped directly into the modern day, then Pokemon Battle Arena is for you. Not to be confused with Pokemon Vortex, whose subtitle is also Battle Arena. Anyways, Pokemon Battle Arena, the one that's actually called Pokemon Battle Arena, takes everything that Pokemon Creator did, adds a few new starters and a couple of new trainers, and boom, there it is. It even has the questionable web design to really make you feel like you're back in 2007. There is also a ton of other Pokemon MMOs out there that demonstrate the potential a modern offering can bring. I won't cover all of them here, but know that huge communities, real-time battles, and even MMOs of Pokemon spin-offs are out there waiting for you to give them a try. And they can all thank the OG browser-based Pokemon game for paving the way for them. Thanks, you old geezer. No. But that's part of the charm. Pokemon Crater was undeniably a product of its time, but it helped popularize the Pokemon MMO genre into the varied and polished landscape that we have today. It also provided mid-2000s kids with nostalgia aplenty, so in my book, it gets a pass. Unlike Blobcatcher Online, man, a fan game should have heart and care put into it. Like Crater, not like this malicious cash grab. You know what? I'm gonna teach BCO a lesson they'll never forget.